let's go back to that 1966 season, okay? What was that season as a whole like leading up to this Notre Dame game?
Well, after, there was a rule in the Big Ten back at that time that a Big Ten champion couldn't go to the Rose Bowl 2 years in a row. We thought that was the stupidest rule in the world, and that was, the paper said, because Michigan State had no incentive to go to the Rose Bowl, they weren't going to have a great team. And here's a little bit of trivia for you, Dole. We are the only college football team, Michigan State, that beat Bob Greasy, quarterback team, 3 years in a row. And we actually sent our sister school to the Rose Bowl in '64 by upsetting Greasy down there. So they got to thank us for that one down there. But anyhow, after we beat Bob Greasy 41-20 that day in Purdue, Boilermakers, it was pretty obvious. We had three weaker opponents. We had, I think, Northwestern, Iowa, and Indiana. Notre Dame the same day beat, I think it was North Carolina or Oklahoma, 38-0, and they had I think it was Navy, Duke, and one other school that I can't slip my mind for the moment. But anyhow, unless there was the upset of the century, we were going to meet unbeaten. And the countdown to that game, every week, the tension, the anticipation, the pressure grew until by the time we got to game week, it was almost a feeding frenzy. You didn't need anything to get high. If you could just breathe the air, you walked around it. The anticipation going up in that game was on. It was the most tension-packed football game I've ever seen or played. It really was a Super Bowl and a national championship game all rolled into one. And the television stations said they had hit the mother lode. I don't know if you're going to be over at the thing tomorrow, but I wrote a poem in the book I wrote called The Never-Ending Game. And I'm going to give everybody a copy of that tomorrow when I'm over. So if you're over there, you can get one and take it back for it. But anyhow, that was the game. And when it ended, both teams felt like we had lost. We were walking off the field with our heads down, and the only two happy people, Duffy was actually crying in the locker room, and I heard Johnny Ray, the defensive coordinator from Notre Dame, was crying in their locker because we scored on them. They had 6 shutouts that year, and they were really good. And the players were all out, and the only two smiling people was John Hanna and Father Hesburgh. They came in the locker room, and they congratulated everybody, told us we had played a classic game. They saw the big picture. They saw that 20, 30 years from now, and here's the bottom line. Neither one of two of the greatest college teams in the history of college football, will ever bear the stigma of defeat, and we won't be relegated to the dustbins of history. I'm going to give you a little quiz now. Who were the 1976 national champs? Try the 86, make it a little easier for you. Go for it. 96 national champs. Nope, you missed that. Nobody, I've asked this for the last 10 years, I asked it hundreds of times, not one person has got all three parts to it. Jack Emmeling got 2, Chris just interviewed me down there, got 2, but no one got all 3. It is Pittsburgh in 76, Penn State in 86, and Florida in 9. But here's my point. They all got kind of relegated to the dustbin of history. On the other hand, everybody who was alive or heard about it, like you guys, heard about the 10-10 Tide game, and you're still talking about it to this day. And as far as who would have won if there'd been overtime, flip a coin. I have no idea. I don't think Notre Dame offense was in the red zone twice in the last quarter of the game and came out with 3 points. We're in the red zone. And we threw the ball. We risked the ball. We had a couple of passes picked off there in the fourth quarter because Duffy was going for it. Then we punted with 1 minute and 32 seconds to go. But that was straight. We still had enough timeouts. If we had a 3-and-out, we could get the ball back maybe for a Hail Mary. And while the improbable doesn't happen, just think back 2 years ago in Ann Arbor. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen. I think it just happened in Tennessee. It just lost last week on an improbable last-second Hail Mary. So Eric Parsons' decision, while he got a lot of criticism for it, basically got us a little sliver of immortality. And I'm serious about that because the game will live on and on just like you're here tonight going that way.
So there's a part of you that relishes what it became, what the game of the century became.
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, it's poetic justice as far as I'm concerned. That neither one, last year the New England Patriots, I think, lost 2 games and they were the world champs. And they have sustained a defeat. And someone can say, we beat the world champ, but nobody can say they beat Notre Dame or Michigan State that year. And neither Notre Dame or Michigan State can't say it to each other. So yes, there's a little poetic justice in that happening.
Very nice. And it's been 51 years now since these two teams have kind of gotten together and been able to hang out. What's this weekend been like for you so
far? It's just been absolutely more than I ever thought it would be. I don't know if you're here for the singing of the fight song, but that got people's hair standing up in the back of their head. We had the dueling fight songs for that. I hope you got that on camera. It's just been a wonderful thing. We just wished a few more Notre Dame players would come, but we had a pretty good Notre Dame contingent here. So they're at their sports information director came, and a number of their alumni came in to help us. So we're really happy with the way it's turned out so far.
How long has it been since you've seen some of these Notre Dame players or some of your own teammates?
How do I what?
Hey, how long has it been since you've seen some of these?
I've been coming from Notre Dame. George Gedicke and I, the way this thing happened, we both spoke at the Downtown Coaches Club last year. And we talked about this because this actually should have happened last year on the 50th anniversary. And we were kind of deflated, and even he was, that they didn't invite anybody from Michigan State down for that game. They did invite the Notre Dame team back, and they had a good contingent there. But George and I started talking, well, why don't we see if we can do one? And we were thinking maybe we'd do it on the 55th anniversary. But we don't play each other for 9 years now. So then Bob Cantrell came up, well, he said, this is the last time we play. Why don't we see if we can do something for this game? And I said, okay, let's see if we can put something together. And George and I put our heads together, and we started contacting our teammates. And we had 27 Spartans from that team. That's a lot, considering Bob Appiza is going into the college football, our Hall of Fame next week. And some there. And Gene Washington and Clinton Jones both wanted to come, but they both ran track, and they got a track member go up their team going into the Hall of Fame, too, besides Bob. So they had to make a choice. And they didn't want to miss this, but they're here in spirit.
Right. Final question, and I'll let you get out of here. Thoughts on the Notre Dame-Michigan State rivalry? Both these institutions have helped each other in different ways throughout history. If you could sum up this rivalry in some way, what would it be?
I would sum it up the way Biggie Munn said it at our first. We had two banquets that year. We had one over in the Student Union, the first one, and then we had another one downtown at the Lansing Center. But Biggie got up there, and that was when the controversy was still on. This was a week after the game. So we were number one in one poll, and they were number one in the other poll. And that's the way it should have ended right there. But Biggie said, I'm not going to say anything bad about Notre Dame. Notre Dame's been good to Michigan State. It was Notre Dame, not our school, sister school down here to the southeast, that led us into the big time. And so we're not going to say anything bad. It's been a great, great rivalry in the two schools. I wish we played every year, but because of schedules you can't. But believe it or not, that game wasn't even supposed to happen. Notre Dame was scheduled to play Iowa, but the year before the game, it was a home-and-home series, the game had been snowed out, so Iowa was able to back out of their end of the contract and go to Miami for home-and-home. And Notre Dame called Moose Krause, called Duff, called Biggie, and he got them to schedule that home-and-home series. So we went down there in '65, and they came back here, and so that was, it wasn't the start of a great rivalry, but it certainly focused the whole nation's attention on that rivalry.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That was terrific.
Thank you.